is I've always wondered, because we were talking about how coming up next in the off-season train leading to the 2021 season is free agency, and the start of the season where teams are allowed to make trades. But there's already been trades. Some we've talked about, some we will talk about today, or at least one big one that's happened since we talked last time. But I've always wondered because the teams they'll like come out and say, like, we've agreed to this trade, and it always happens, even though they can't officially make the trade. And I've always wondered, like, what stops a team from like before the trade's finals, like, hey, we'll give you that and something else, and just like steal the trade. And I guess it's nothing more than the unspoken sort of respect rules in the league. I assume like if you agree to the trade, you do the trade, sort of a thing. But I've always wondered like if that would ever happen. Like for example, Matt Stafford has been traded to the Rams, and vice versa. We have Jared Goff going to the Lions, but like, what if like now like I don't know, one of the other teams that are on the market, like the Panthers or the Broncos, saw that trade like be announced, like that's done, but it's not technically done. So they swoop in and say, "Hey, now that we know exactly what you were going to get," they upsell them and steal it. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's just by the time they announce it to the general public, the contracts have already been signed and the financial liability is now in the hands of the new team. So it's probably just not their product to sell anymore. It's the new team's product or something.
It's probably just a formality with
Yeah.
Yeah.
the new season. Like,
That would be cool though. That would be cool if someone was like, but that's the thing is like for Matt Stafford, for example, they couldn't go to the Lions now and be like, hey, we'll actually trade for him. They would have to go to the Rams and be like, how about we just give you what you gave and an extra pick or something
Now
like that.
that would be really interesting to see. Dominoes fall like that.
I'm sure like in those trades too, like they're on the phone with other teams, and they
Yeah.
probably tell them what other teams are offering. I'm like, well, the Rams are offering this much, so what do you like? Can you top that? And they're like, nah. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, exactly. I guess I don't know the formalities of it because they say it's never official until the start of the new league year. So yeah, I guess you guys are certainly right. Like it may not be official, but I'm sure there's something binding to it regardless. But I've always wondered if it's not official and like say like yeah, I'm sure they told everyone what the Rams were offering and everyone else bowed out. But say another team was like, well, we're not going to go all in because maybe we'll go get Carson, but then they miss out on Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So come a few weeks later, like actually, we kind of want that. So I don't know. I guess I was just thinking about the possibilities there, but
yeah.
Yeah.
You're just hoping that the Broncos, you're like, oh, frick, I would have taken Matt Stafford.
Exactly. I'm like, what's the possibility we could go back and just revisit that whole thing? No, I don't know. But anyway, I think the big trade that happened since our last podcast was Carson Wentz to the Colts.
Yeah.
That's the biggest news and the only really big one, I think. But anyway, what did you guys think of the trade?
It was fair. Like because there was the big like everyone was freaking out about what the Eagles were asking for him at first. The Eagles were like, we want like 3 first-round picks for Carson Wentz, or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but it was something ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
it was.
Everyone was like freaking out, and it didn't happen. Like no one panicked about that declaration, and the Eagles caved pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, what was it? It was like a third and a fifth or something?
It was a 3rd-round pick and a 2nd-round pick for next year that could turn into a 1st-round pick.
Yes.
If they win at least 75% of their games.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not going to predict whether or not Carson Wentz is going to succeed there because it's kind of up in the air. It depends on. Carson Wentz looked really bad for the Eagles, like bad, but he's with his old coach, and I'm not going to predict whether or not like Frank Reich can fix him. But what I am going to say is there is a lot of pressure on Carson Wentz now in Indy because this was everyone's ideal landing spot for him, and Phillip Rivers went 11-5 with that team, and aging, no zip on the ball Phillip Rivers was able to go 11-5. So if he doesn't go at least 11-5, you're like, well, you're not any better than old man Rivers. So
that's true.
So there's a lot of pressure on Wentz, maybe more than he would like, actually. So
yeah. It's kind of tough to come off of the year that Carson Wentz has had, where his own expectations are kind of lowered, but to go into a situation where the hopes and expectations are actually high.
yeah.
But I'm pretty optimistic for Carson. You brought up, he's obviously reunited with Frank Reich, which, to your own admission, Austin, you credit Frank Reich a lot more for Carson Wentz's success and the Eagles' success when they were good and when they went to the Super Bowl and won.
I do.
So,
and I don't retract that at all.
Yeah. So I think that's good. And the thing about Carson Wentz is he's been good, very good, most of his career. This past year was the real outlier, like, as far as how bad he was. I mean, he's either been very, very good in the year he was probably going to be MVP if he didn't get injured, or he's been pretty dang good, pretty much his whole career, and maybe outside of his rookie season. Only last year was he really, really bad. So I think with the amount of evidence we have, I think there's good reason to think Carson Wentz can turn it around. That'll end up just being a bad year, just one off year, and he could come back to being a really valuable quarterback.
I'm going to kind of agree with Parker. So kind of my thought process on it is, one thing is, I think people just forget this too often or don't consider it a major factor. But Carson Wentz wasn't the only problem with the Eagles' offense. Their offensive line was really banged up, and it wasn't that amazing in the first place. And I think that's the biggest issue. Obviously Carson Wentz made lots of mistakes, but a lot of them were attributed to lack of time in the pocket, lots of pressure in the pocket, needing to scramble where he's usually really good, but he just kind of faltered under the pressure. But no, the main thought process I have is Frank Reich was obviously the offensive coordinator for the Eagles when they went and won the Super Bowl and during Carson Wentz's breakout year. And I remember there were not rumors, but it just went around that, and it still is this way, I think, that Carson Wentz is the kind of quarterback where if he doesn't like a play, he'll say he doesn't like it and he doesn't want to do it. If he's kind of got his comfort zone in play style and play call, and Frank Reich was actually really flexible with him. I remember when he was injured and Nick Foles went in and finished the year out, they kind of adjusted the play calling and kind of the offensive scheme to work more around Nick Foles. And then when Carson Wentz got healthy again, there was some drama where he was like, I don't want to run those plays. I don't want to run those plays. I want to run my plays. And Frank Reich was flexible and worked with him on that. And I wonder if Frank Reich leaves, obviously we have some new coaching come in. Maybe they weren't flexible on that. And that's one kind of factor in why Carson Wentz seemed very uncomfortable and very not good anymore. I'm not saying that's the only thing, but that could be a major factor. So what I'm saying is, if now playing under Frank Reich again, if he's given that flexibility or the ability to be a part of the conversation and things turn around, maybe that kind of pinpoints what the major issue was. And I think he has a great chance of being good again if he gets back into his comfort zone and does what he wants to do. I'm not saying that's how a quarterback. I'm not saying that's how a quarterback should be. I think quarterbacks should just, you're just one player out of 11 on the field. You got to be a team player, but at the same time, it is the quarterback position. We want to make sure the most crucial position is comfortable and playing well, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's all true. And, Carson Wentz is in the best place for him. If he's going to succeed, it's going to be in Indy. This is set up for him. Defense is great. Offensive line is great. Running game is great. Receiving core is the weakness of the team, but I mean, the running game and the defense kind of makes up for that. And, they've got plenty of time in the draft to get some guys, and Michael Pittman's developing pretty well. But to your point, which brings us to probably another topic, is talking about quarterbacks and how much say they have in play calling and personnel. There's a certain RW3, dangerous Russell Wilson. More and more reports are coming out that he's pretty unhappy, and there's been a lot of teams actually calling Seattle saying, so what do you want from Russell?
I think we know of 10 plus teams at this point have called.
Yeah.
Surprised that's it, man. I would be surprised if everyone. Yeah. I mean, jeez. That would be something.
But it just speaks to the quarterback empowerment movement that Tom Brady has started. And now, I don't know, what do you guys think? I'm pretty sure Deshaun Watson ends up not being a Texan, but Russell Wilson, though, do you think Seattle is to trading Russell Wilson?
I'll speak for Thomas so he doesn't have to, because I know Thomas, just the very thought of it is enough to make him weep. And it would be for me as well if I were a Seattle fan. Look, I would love, me, I'm here in Denver. Any of these names that could potentially be on the move makes me salivate, makes me not in control of my emotions. That sounds amazing. Russell Wilson, he's not going to be traded this offseason. There's reports, there's talk. I think the difference with Russell Wilson and Deshaun is Russell Wilson's talking about it. He's actually vocalizing his desires. He's saying he wants to be involved. Deshaun, it was, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm getting traded. You know what I mean? So I do think Russell Wilson's trying to get more power in Seattle, which he deserves. A quarterback of his caliber, to some degree, should be involved in things. I'm not saying, again, that every quarterback who's great deserves to be a part of who the team hires or who the team fires or yada, yada, this or that. But I don't think it's a bad idea to keep them in the loop at the very least, because it's true. When you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson, he's the most important one on the field. That's just all there is to it. So, but yeah, long story short, I can't envision the Seattle Seahawks have any desire to trade Russell Wilson. It doesn't seem by any stretch that the situation's irreparable like it is with Deshaun. So I would be really, really shocked if Russell Wilson got traded. There's not enough value you can give, because, I didn't actually know this until I've gone deeper into the well of researching the Deshaun Watson hype because I follow that daily. I didn't previously realize you can only trade up to the next, I think, 4 years of draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And I'm not sure you can come up with a package within those parameters that's worth Russell Wilson. It's honestly hard with Deshaun too. I'm not saying they would like if some team offered the Seattle Seahawks 4 first-rounders straight up, I don't think they take that. I don't think the Texans do either if their hand's not being forced, which it is.
Yeah.
But so no. Yeah, that's all to say. No, Russell Wilson, I don't think he's going anywhere.
There's only one trade that I think the Seahawks would take. There's one possible trade. It would be Patrick Mahomes and 3 first-rounders. Or 4 first-rounders.
What? Oh, what about this? What if the Texans and the Seahawks just traded quarterback?
No. No.
You wouldn't?
I argued with my brother-in-law about this like 2 hours ago. Deshaun Watson is a good player. He's probably top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. And he's probably going to have an amazing career. But right now, at this point in time, Russell Wilson is still in his prime, and he's in MVP races. He's won Super Bowls. He's got an amazing long career. Well, not long, but a lot of seasons of winning records and fourth quarter comebacks. Deshaun's great, but why would you trade proven fact for potential?
You don't think Deshaun's proven? Like, he's not potential. Deshaun is not potential.
He's good.
He's very proven.
Well, that's the thing. He's proven in his own position. He hasn't proven he can take a team to the Super Bowl. He hasn't proven that he can have, the point I'm trying to make.
A year where you could have maybe gone an MVP vote. You didn't, but you could have. You deserve to maybe get one.
Deshaun Watson hasn't gotten any MVP votes either. And to be fair, Russell Wilson's been a lot closer to getting MVP votes than Deshaun Watson has during Deshaun Watson's entire career. So I'm not trying to take any value away from Deshaun. He's really good, and he'll probably have a fantastic career. But it would just be stupid to trade straight across when one is proven and one isn't as much.
I'll agree with you. If you're Seattle and you don't, and Russell's not demanding a trade, then I don't know why you would entertain the thought.
If they were both demanding a trade, that changes things. But Russell isn't demanding a trade. And I agree with you. I don't think Russell Wilson is getting traded in this offseason. He's going to be a Seahawk next year and probably for a few years to come. But I know exactly what Russell Wilson is doing because I have done it or something very similar to that in my life. And you have as well, Parker. So for all our viewers, Parker and I worked for a company. It was a nationwide company. It was a sales company. We both decided we were unhappy with our commission in this company. And we reached a point where we were fed up with this company and the commission they were offering us, especially finding out less experienced employees were being offered better commissions. So we called a competitor with zero intention of actually leaving the company. We called a competitor and said, we want to work for you. What are you going to offer us? And right when we got that commission percentage, we hung up the phone, knowing we'd never call that company back again, went to our own regional manager and demanded raises, and we got what we wanted.
So wait, so what are you saying Russell Wilson's trying to get then?
So what I'm saying, obviously it's not about money for Russell Wilson, it's about power and decision making. There's no doubt about it, okay? Russell Wilson's offensive lines have been neglected his basically entire career. He has been sacked more than any other quarterback in the same span of time, like by far. He has reasons to be upset. He's not planning on leaving, but he's making it known that he's upset and he is valuable. So they're going to fix the issues. It's a complete strategy of, hey, I want to have a long career. I want to have a healthy career. I want to win more. And I know if I have a better offensive line and I can call more plays, I will be closer to getting those things. So I'm going to let the Seahawks and the world know that I'm not very happy right now. It's just a move. He's not going anywhere. He has zero intention of leaving. But kind of like what we've said before and everyone continues to say, he is a player that is good enough to have those complaints and have those issues fixed for him. And that's all he's doing. He has power and he's using it to his benefit, which I do not blame him. I don't think very many people do blame him, but that's all it is. It's nothing more. The only reason all these rumors of trades and stuff are even coming out is because of people like you, Parker, that are daydreaming about the possibility that they could have Russell Wilson on their team. If I say it enough, maybe it'll come true.
You're starting to sound defensive, man. Like you're offended at the very thought of Russell Wilson leaving.
He's not leaving. That would be stupid. That would be stupid for him and the Seahawks.
I know. I said he's not leaving just before you did.
I know. I'm not, and that's the thing. I'm using you as an example where you're like, I drool at the thought of potential quarterbacks that my team could have, and that's what other people are doing about Russell Wilson.
Now I will say this: the reports I heard though was that the Seahawks weren't happy with Russell because he came public about these things.
Yeah.
So,
and that's go ahead.
I know Pete Carroll's got a lot of power and influence in Seattle, especially with he just kind of occupies a lot of the space there.
Mm-hmm.
So if Pete Carroll kind of starts to be like, I'm not giving power up to anyone, and kind of rebuffs Russell Wilson, there is a chance that the situation becomes worse, not better. And if that happens, then it could potentially escalate to sort of a Deshaun thing. But we're not there yet.
I completely agree. And that's the main issue I have with all of this stuff is Pete and a lot of the front office, which is Pete. They gotta humble themselves a little bit. Like, you're important and all, but Russell's the one out on the field playing. Like, what he's doing is winning games. So it's cool that you have a lot of power. You can share a little bit of it. It's not gonna hurt your ego. No one's gonna think less of you.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of ego and pride that I think the Seahawks, where who knows what the media means or whoever's reporting these things is saying the Seahawks are upset. It's probably one or two individuals have a lot of power and big enough egos to feel threatened. But so I will throw the Seahawks under the bus. If there actually is hurt feelings or offense to what Russell's done, someone needs to humble themselves and realize that he's the important one right now.
I'm surprised with all this quarterbacks coming out and saying they want this. I'm surprised Aaron Rodgers not putting himself out there again and kind of taking advantage of this wave because
he's too busy planning a wedding.
Yeah, I guess so, But, he's got a few things to be upset about, and
he does. But
absolutely.
I think it's the same thing. He wants to be a Packer. Like, the chances of going to a team that's not as good as the Packers is better than going to a team that is better than the Packers.
I don't know, because take Aaron Rodgers out of the Packers, and what's extremely noteworthy, I guess, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones.
Well, how many teams are... Yeah, I mean, but how many teams like are going to want him, that need a quarterback and are good enough for him. I don't know.
I mean,
that's the same thing for Deshaun Watson, but I don't know. Deshaun Watson's more desirable because he's a lot younger.
That's true.
I think that's the bigger appeal for Deshaun Watson than Aaron Rodgers is.
Aaron Rodgers is still going to lots of teams. If Aaron Rodgers were available, I still think almost every team that wants Deshaun would go for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he just won MVP. Come on.
No, it's true. No, and you're right. But I mean, I don't know. The Bears obviously would want him, but I don't know if Aaron Rodgers would want to go to the Bears.
Yeah.
You know, or Miami would probably take him, but he's got a better defense. But the offense, is still figuring it out there too. He would make the offense a lot better.
What about the 49ers?
He would like that. He's from that area.
I think he would like that.
He would.
I think he would get the Kevin Durant treatment if he did that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he would.
Absolutely.
He would for sure.
After losing to them in the championship game, getting his butt kicked by them,
dude,
2 years ago.
Sorry, this is a tangent off what you said, but I just rewatched the video of the ESPYs when
Peyton Manning
absolutely ripped on him and Russell. Dude, that's probably one of the best. That may be one of the best sports moments of my life.
That was amazing, man. Oh gosh. Okay, yeah. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers hasn't. Okay, real quick though, we do got to do our bi-weekly Deshaun update, guys.
Yes.
I mean, I know this isn't really worth much.
We know the Broncos have been included in the conversation.
Not included, dude. Vegas betting odds have Deshaun, as of yesterday morning, the number one spot. His odds are at the Broncos in Denver, even above staying at the Texans. All right,
I'm kind of worried about what would happen to you if that happened.
Yeah.
You'd probably have a stroke.
I said, I'm not getting. If it did happen,
you would have a stroke. If it didn't happen, you would shut yourself in your apartment for weeks.
I'll die happy, man. I'll die hopeful, dude. But no, just because Deshaun. Well, not Deshaun, but someone who seems to have a source with Deshaun say that he came out and said 2 teams in particular he'd be interested in going to would be Denver and the 49ers. And the same source said that when he asked about the Jets, Deshaun said not so much, wouldn't really want to go to the Jets.
That's different from what we heard. See, that's the thing. These are such big stories. There's too many people making up crap. You don't know what to believe.
I'm not saying it's fact or anything, but there's some signs that the Denver Broncos have publicly said if Deshaun's available, they're going hard after him.
Yeah,
for sure. The other team, though, that's getting in the ring, it seems to kind of be narrowing down to Denver and Carolina. The Panthers are being tied to Deshaun a lot. They've been releasing quite a few players, freeing up a lot of cap space. There was a report that turned out to not be any sort of report. It was just someone theorizing that they would be willing to deal Christian McCaffrey as part of that trade for Deshaun.
That's the thing, though. If you're Deshaun, I don't want to go to Carolina unless Christian McCaffrey's there.
Yeah, exactly.
So in that context, I think Denver probably is a good landing spot because I just think there's more potential on that team than Carolina without Christian. Christian McCaffrey is kind of the only thing that Carolina has going for him.
He's the big thing. There's a lot in Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers. He's really the face of the franchise. So I don't know. Again, this is all speculation. Nothing's fact. Nothing's trust me, I look hard for anything concrete. There's just nothing concrete going on at all. Besides the fact that the Texans are still saying they have zero interest to trade him. That's the one thing that hasn't changed yet. So, but that doesn't stop me from following it. Doesn't stop me from hoping, man. We'll see.
It could be that Deshaun is just changing his mind a lot because it's a big decision. Like, okay, wherever I go, it's going to be binding, like I can't just pull this crap at every team or then no team's going to want me. Like,
Yeah.
So like where you go is insanely important.
I think
And
I would assume in a situation like that, any player would think, I want this to be the one move I make in my career. Especially quarterbacks. They don't want to bounce from team to team. They want to become a franchise quarterback. So he better be looking at it as like a permanent change.
Yeah. More than two teams, and you're getting into the journeyman category. Which,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, you don't.
one wants to be in.
Like there's you either want to stay with one team or be successful with your first team and then move on to another team and then be successful. Like those are the two best things that could happen to your legacy. Like if you're bad for a team, like people are going to remember like you didn't work with that team. Even if you were successful somewhere else, it's not quite as pristine, or there's that little blemish on your record.
Yeah.
Roll. Remember that time that you played for the Texans and you didn't do anything?
I think one trade is fair because you don't get to choose who you get drafted to, and if you're a good quarterback, it's going to be to a crappy team. So you can have one trade or one transfer, but anything past that, especially later in your career,
I would put those in tiers. Like one team, your whole career, and you're extremely successful, and then like extremely successful with your first team, move to another team, extremely successful there is like top tier. And then middle tier would be didn't work out with your first team, and you went to a second team and succeeded like crazy. And then bottom tier is you moved around a ton and you had flashes of success, but you were never a franchise guy. And then obviously bottom pit of hell tier is you never started anywhere. Bounced around. You're just like a backup the whole time and never got a real chance, or had your chance but blew it every time. Got beat out.
Speaking of someone who's had their chance, what do you guys think is going to end up happening to Cam Newton this offseason?
That's a good question. It's honestly strange that we haven't had or heard as much about the Patriots looking for a new quarterback. Nothing's officially come out. Everyone's just assuming that they're looking long and hard.
They're going to come out of nowhere and take Deshaun, aren't they, dude? They're going to somehow find a way, man.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
It's not Belichick's style, really. Belichick, he's looking for the next 6th round pick that he's going to turn into another all-star. But I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
That's his way out of the pit of losing the divorce.
Yeah.
That's the only way to find the next Tom Brady.
Where here's another nobody that I mentored and
but one thing I did hear is because obviously with the success in recent years that the Patriots have had, they don't have amazing picks in the next couple drafts. So they probably can't, and they don't really have that much to trade either. But I have heard rumors that there could be something where they try and go for Teddy Bridgewater if he becomes available. Just because he's a starting quarterback that could be cheap, depending on what the Panthers do.
That's exactly Cam Newton, though. Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater's not as mobile as Cam Newton or as big. He's much more of a pocket passer than Cam Newton is.
That's the thing. He's more of a pocket passer, which is what Belichick wants.
But I mean, in the sense of the quarterback, it's worse because Teddy Bridgewater's never been amazing. Mm-hmm. Cam Newton was amazing. He was unstoppable at one point, but past his prime, not really sought after.
Yeah, here's the thing that confuses me is I remember like week 4, week 5 of the season, I remember saying, I think the Patriots are still going to the Super Bowl. They had an awesome start. They looked great.
Same. That's actually true of them. I thought you were going to say Teddy Bridgewater because the same thing happened with both of those teams. Like they started losing and looked a lot worse the longer the season dragged on, and Cam definitely looked worse and worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other things I've heard is they could go for Jimmy Garoppolo. If he becomes available, they might want him just because Belichick likes Jimmy Garoppolo. But I just don't see the 49ers trading Jimmy at this point.
I mean, I think the 49ers would definitely be open to trading Garoppolo if they could find a suitable replacement is the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Patriots don't have anything that could help them, like replace Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And honestly, like, I am also not on the Jimmy Garoppolo train. I don't think he's that good, but the numbers don't lie. And their record starting Jimmy is a lot better than their record not starting him. And who knows how much you can attribute to it, but they're like 27-9 or something with him starting. Like, it's a pretty good record with him starting versus him not starting.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a pretty small sample size, but still.
Yeah, definitely. But as far as, I guess, to answer my own question, and I'll see if you guys agree, I don't think Cam Newton's a starting quarterback anywhere next season, right? I mean,
I think the only place is New England if they can't find anything, if they can't get anything. Because, after his performance this year, I don't know who would want him or who would want to trade and then start him.
Yeah. Well, I can see him not re-signing because it was just a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
Not re-signing with the Patriots. And if he's a free agent, he's going to get picked up.
Yeah.
He'll be somewhere.
Somewhere. Whether he be starting or not is different. But, there are places where he could start, but I'm trying to say place though.
Denver's actually maybe if we don't land anyone else. I actually was like, it's possible. It's possible.
The Texans, like if Deshaun holds out, they just sign Cam Newton to a 1-year deal and have him like, all right, if you're not going to play, Deshaun will go get Cam Newton and see how we do without you. So
it's funny.
They don't have a lot of options.
The only reason Cam is like relevant now or would be sought after by teams like in situations like that is that one MVP year. Because everyone knows what he could do. Or at one point he was capable of. He's really lucky. Hard. He's really not lucky because he earned it, but that one MVP year has really had some long-term dividends for him.
I'll be a Cam apologizer. That 1 year does definitely stand far above every other season, but he's had other seasons as well where he's been definitely above average in quarterbacks. I think the years after the Super Bowl, he continued to be good, and the team and eventually his own play did start to deteriorate along with his health. But yeah, I will definitely agree with you that it seems like he's far removed from definitely the MVP years and those years where he was kind of consistently playing at a high level.
It really is just this last year, I think. When he was still a Panther, even in the 2018-2019 season, his last year as a Panther, it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't that bad either.
Yeah. And then he struggled with health issues that year, so
that's true.
Yeah.
Which is good or bad.
He deserves a roster spot. The tough thing that it's both a blessing and a curse that he had that MVP year because it's kind of his star power is kind of like hard to have on your bench, like with a player like that, but it's also extremely valuable to have a player like that that's a capable backup. He's better than most backups in the league.
Well, that's for sure.
So I think he's worth it. I could see him being a backup to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore because he would fit that system.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that earlier. I think that's one place where he would fit in as a backup really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he'll get signed.
He'll definitely be on a roster. No doubt. That's no question.
Yeah. But I mean, the quarterback talent is just getting too good in the league, and there's a lot of quarterback needy teams, but there's also not that many. It's weird. I don't know. It depends on what you consider a good enough quarterback to not need someone better.
There's some teams we haven't really talked about that really have questions at their quarterback. I'd say like the Washington football team is kind of murky, I would say.
Yeah. And he could end up there, Cam Newton.
Yeah.
He could. I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't be surprised either.
Honestly, I think almost every team in the league would pick him up as a backup. That's the thing. He's right on the verge of starter and backup. So he's better than most backups. And yeah, there's a few murky water teams that could definitely, if not in the first few weeks, maybe at some point in the season, put him in the starting position.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we talk about Cam Newton way too much, way more than he deserves, I think we should do a tier list today, guys.
Let's do it. What are we gonna do it on though?
Yeah, what's
okay? So one thought I had, but you can tell me. This may be too broad, and it just ruins all tier listing in the future. But someone may be listening to our podcast that is like, I'm new to the NFL. I don't have a team I root for. So just looking from a new fan's perspective, could you make a tier list of teams based on how good they are, their history, their fan base, their potential? Is that too broad, though?
If we could narrow it down to one way of saying it, like give it a tier based on how appealing it would be to become a fan of that team right now.
Yeah, exactly.
The most bandwagonable team.
Yes.
I think we could do that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's good. The bandwagon tier list. The bandwagon tier list. All right. Let me make some.
Taking into account all those things, fan base, history, current trajectory, all that stuff. Stars to root for. I think that's awesome. That's great.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So
we'll have to somehow come up with a consensus with us three. We'll just I don't know. Take.
Yeah. Well.
So we click the watch stream thing, huh?
The compromising.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm big now.
You're big? I can't even see Austin anymore.
I see all three of you, or two of you, and me. And but all of our rectangles got bigger.
And you can see the list?
Yeah, well, I gotta watch. Oh, never mind. Okay, now I don't see you anymore. I clicked on watch stream. Now you're gone. Now I'm tiny.
I was like, what?
So.
All right. Let's see here.
We're going to have to go pretty fast, though, to get through all 32 teams in any reasonable amount of time.
We will. Yeah. I think some will be pretty easy.
I watched another tier thing that took a long time, but there was a bigger list than 32. But yeah, it'll still take a while.
Okay, well, we advertise this as a scuffed podcast, so it's going to be a scuffed podcast today. But you viewers on YouTube should be able to see us and the tier list. And listeners, obviously, just listen along. We will explain things in detail. But I think let's just start with, we'll just go in order as visible on the screen.
Yeah. So we should make the categories pretty specific.
Yeah. So here's the deal. We have tiers. S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. S tier is a tier reserved for the elite.
That's the best of the best.
Best
You
of the
can't go
best.
wrong. You can't go wrong bandwagoning that team.
Yeah, you can't. There are no negatives. So there should be very, very few teams, if any, in the S tier.
Yeah, there might not be any. So we'll see. We'll see.
A tier, almost look at that as the highest tier. I mean, within reason, teams will make it in here, but they're the best of the best. S tier is like, it's a no-brainer. Like, everyone should abandon their teams and bandwagon this team in one way or another because they're so good. And then it's kind of, we're just kind of going through the grades. B tier's good, above average. C tier's right around average. D is obviously below average, has some negatives. Not a good team to bandwagon.
Don't root for them. It'll be miserable.
Yes.
I propose, if you guys are cool with it, that like as we go through these, we can take turns with each of us like making an argument per team. You know what I mean? Like someone can, if we're going Dolphins first, then someone can say their reasoning, and then everyone else can say agree or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's good for time too. Yeah,
that'll make it go faster.
Okay, so how we'll do it is we'll go in the order of, we'll go clockwise. Austin, then Thomas, then Parker, and back to Austin. Okay. So Austin, you're up with
no, whoa.
Oh. With the Dolphins.
Okay. The Dolphins. Okay, I'm gonna put this at probably C tier. They yeah, dude.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here's my reasoning. Okay, they haven't won a Super Bowl since 72 or 73. And they haven't been to a Super Bowl since like 84. And they have a few stars. They have Dan Marino and like Ricky Williams. Like most of the time they don't have players that you've heard of. Like they have they have a lot of people in the Hall of Fame that you remember from the 70s. But in recent memory, there's not a lot of players where it's like, wow, that's an all-time guy. Okay, ownership is not that great. Coaching has been pretty bad for a lot of history, but they're on an upward trajectory, and they have cool uniforms. Like that's pretty much it. They're on the uptrend right now after a long drought of being bad, and they have cool uniforms, and they're from Miami. And
okay,
that's the only thing giving them out of D tier.
I'll give a quick, really brief counter argument. First of all, if you're a Dolphins fan, you're right. They've been bad for a while, but they're in the up and up, and that's a big deal. They have a lot of potential. And they can always say they're the only team to ever have gone undefeated in the regular and postseason. That chip alone is a big deal because, as we all know in the NFL, if you're a fan, you have to have that thing you can lean into when people are roasting your team. You know what I mean? Like, we have more trophies, we have more rings than you. We've won more recently than you. The Dolphins can say we're the only team to have ever done that, ever.
Yeah, so. I did consider B tier, but I think there's too many negatives to positives. Like, the people are going to say, if you're bandwagoning this team and you just started rooting for them this year, you're like, you weren't even alive. I wasn't even alive when that happened, and you weren't cheering for them when that happened. And so, I don't know. And currently, right now, they don't have a lot of like stars. They have talented players, but they don't have like anybody that's like a household name on their team.
That's true. Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. I would have gone higher, but I respect it.
I don't have too much to add other than A, they have Tua, and I like Tua. Everybody knows that. But B, and this may be something that comes up with a lot of teams, but at least with the Miami Dolphins, and I think they can fit in the C tier because of this too. At least if you bandwagon the Dolphins, no one's going to call you out for being a bandwagoner.
That's true.
Yeah.
So maybe C, B tier is actually the tier people want to choose from if they're looking to bandwagon a team. But C tier is fine.
All right.
Okay. I've got the Browns. I am going to also put them in the C tier. because unlike the Dolphins, I guess no, if it depends on how far back in history you're going, because in the early days of American football, they were a good team.
The ancient days, that's right. Yeah.
In the prehistoric football seasons, they were good, but that was because only 6 teams existed. And I don't think anyone really cares that much unless it's in the Super Bowl era.
And that was technically a different Browns franchise, wasn't it?
Yeah, technically it was.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Plain and simple, the Browns haven't been good. They've actually been absolute dog crap. And they've done things on and off the field that have been absolute embarrassments, and they've done it very often, even in recent years. Really, I think the only positive about the Browns right now is they somehow made it into the playoffs this year. And I wouldn't say somehow. They have a solid running game. Well, they had a solid running game this year, which helped. Baker Mayfield, you either hate him or you love him. But in the end, they made it to the playoffs. That's probably the one thing keeping them out of the D tier. But I don't think they'll ever make it past the first round of the playoffs in the foreseeable future. And yeah, their jerseys are cool. I like their black and orange jerseys. Their logo is like, I think it was like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the placeholder logo of the NFL, and they were just like, we're actually just gonna stick with the placeholder.
Yeah.
So
that's what it seems like.
In the end, they're C tier because it's the Browns.
Fair enough. I think I just put more weight into like teams that have been bad that are getting better, maybe. But that's fine. All right. I'm going to go with the Lions. I think this is easy for me. They're a straight D. Put them at that. What the heck's going on?
These things are weird. These things are weird. Okay.
All right. There we go.
They're an easy D. And here's why. The Lions suck. They've always sucked. And they just got worse. Here's what you need to be a D-level team. Not only are you bad, but there's no clear path to get any better. And that is exactly where the Lions are right now. Like, they just got Jared Goff, and sure, Jared Goff, who knows? Maybe he can really change things up. But the Rams gave Jared Goff and some to get Matt Stafford, who wanted out from the Lions. So, yeah, they're bad. And not only are they bad, but they're not even like, the Browns from a few years ago or the Jets from last year where they're famous for being bad. They're just forgotten. Just no one cares. So I'm sorry. If there's any Lions fans listening, I would say sorry, except for I know you're all like, dang straight. That's exactly how it is. Because no one's more critical of the team than their own fans. So that's their D tier.
All right.
What do you guys
I couldn't
think?
agree more.
Yep,
And
no
everything about
arguments
them
here.
is boring. Their colors are boring. I mean,
Yep.
they're
I
posed
know.
too similar to other teams that are
That's-
better than them.
That's
So
like the Lions. It's like, that's a cool mascot, like theme. Like, Lions are freaking dope. And they've just got this like little blue guy here just going, rawr. Just,
Yeah.
it's boring.
I mean, it sucks. Detroit, Ford Motor. They're not even, Tesla's bigger than Ford now. It's the same way. Like, they're just forgotten. They're the past. It sucks. I don't know what to say.
yeah, no, you described it perfectly. And even their best players don't want to play for them. So
Yeah.
No. Okay.
All right, Austin, you got the Vikings.
the Vikings, I'm gonna put in B tier. They're always good, but they're never great. Well, and they're sometimes great, and they're never like awful. They've got a good fan base. They've got fun traditions. They have a unique color scheme. They're one of the few purple teams. They've always got a good roster. They've got a good history. They've got players people remember. They had Randy Moss, the Purple People Leaders. They've had Adrian Peterson, Fran Tarkenton. So they got a lot of history. No Super Bowls, but they're always, on either in the playoff bubble or they have a high seed. But they're never bottom of the division. People completely count them out ever. They're always a solid team, and so that when you root for them, you have a good chance of winning every Sunday. And but you don't have the weight of people calling you a bandwagoner because no one's like, oh, they're an elite team. You just like them because they're the best. So no one's going to give you flack for being a Vikings fan.
Absolutely true. Honestly,
I like it.
I think they should be, if we're looking at this with the perspective of like a team to bandwagon or become a fan of, I think they should be an A tier.
What? I don't know about that.
I think so, because they have so many good things, about being a fan. And really, I think the only thing you can argue about keeping them in the B tier is their quarterback is Kirk Cousins.
And that's huge.
Well,
that's huge.
No, that is huge. That is huge.
And Super Bowl wins.
Yeah, but I think no Super Bowl wins is a good thing. That's the kind of team you want to become a fan of.
Oh, you're putting too much stock into like not being viewed as a bandwagon fan. Like you want to go to. You got to balance it, dude.
Yeah, you want a championship team too. You want a team that wins Super Bowls. That's the goal of the game.
Otherwise, the Lions should be S tier, bro.
All I'm saying is Kirk Cousins is the biggest wart on the face of the Vikings because he's this nerdy, like, glee club quarterback that is overpaid and has never fully delivered. Imagine, like, let's say Deshaun Watson gets traded to the Vikings. All of a sudden, the Vikings became like one of the coolest teams in the league. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean,
it would be cool, but then you're in the, you're eventually, if you become good and you're winning Super Bowls, you're gonna get called a bandwagon, even if you've been a fan a long time. So
that's what I'm saying is that's why you should bandwagon them now, before all that crap happens.
But no, that crap's not gonna happen. That's the big thing. All right, next one. This is tough. Thomas, you have the hardest one here because I want to see how you treat this.
Dude, what do you do, dude? This is so absolutely easy, bro. This is easy. There's C tier.
Okay, I'd like to hear the reasoning on this.
I need to hear. I'm not going to say no because I need to hear your argument.
Yeah.
Okay. The things they've got going for them. They have won a Super Bowl. Well, now they've won multiple Super Bowls. They are another Florida team. We all love Florida teams.
I guess.
In its current state, this team is great. I mean, their roster is fantastic. They have the GOAT as their starting quarterback. But I don't know. This is, we would look dumb if we put them in A or S tier because they just won the Super Bowl. That is like the worst thing you can do as a bandwagon or a person becoming a fan, which is what most people do. But I think the big things are they just won. They're at the top. They're really good. But I don't think it's going to last that long because their head coach is still dumb. Their starting quarterback that is kind of the sole reason they went from like a trash team to a good team. I don't care what you say. He will not be in the league in 3 or 4 years. He's got 1, maybe 2 years left. And then they're going to go back to what they were before. So basically what I'm saying is they're really good, but it's all dependent on one player that's the oldest player in the quarterback position in NFL history. And I don't know. I feel like that team's walking on thin ice right now. They did just win the Super Bowl. Other than that, I don't think they're a team you really want to be a fan of.
Yeah. All right. I can agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. For the better part of their history, this is a flash in a spike in the mostly dead line. So yeah, I can agree with that. You do have to say you have Tom Brady, but it's kind of like to go back, almost negate what I was saying about the Vikings. Like if you're a Buccaneers fan, it's like at this point, it's obvious you're a bandwagon.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
for the next 2 or 3 years, no one can all of a sudden become a Buccaneers fan.
Yeah.
Here's one actually good thing about them though, is I think your mascot being a freaking pirate is dope. I think that's cool.
I do like the logo and the colors, and their stadium's really cool. Having a pirate ship, it's very good.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually one thing we didn't mention about the Vikings. Their stadium is off the hook.
It is a good stadium.
Yeah. Well, theirs is new. It's just fancy.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, 49ers. This one's tough. Tough for me. But I'm going to put them at an A. I'd put the 49ers at an A, and I'll say why. They're kind of, if I were someone want to be a fan of a team, they're kind of where I'd want to target. Because they're not the team right now that everyone's flocking to. Because they're kind of on the bubble at the moment. But they're competitive. And they're only a couple years away from being at the Super Bowl, and they lost, which is usually not something you want, really. But they were competitive this year. There's hope for them in the future. They're kind of the franchise is a little more aggressive now. They're often in talks as potential trade suitors. Lots of players talk about wanting to go there. And they have potential. I could see the 49ers not only being where they're at now, where they could make the playoffs every year, but they could definitely get back to being at the spot where they're going potentially to the Super Bowl again. And right now, coming off this year, no one's going to automatically think you're a bandwagon fan for jumping on the 49ers right this second. So I would say A. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I 100% agree. They've got a great roster. They're in the up and up.
History, too.
They've got great history. They're not a team, like, even if they started getting really good, I feel like they've already maxed out their bandwagon. And so, like, teams that liked them in the 80s and 90s are still their fans. And I don't think they'd get a ton of new fans. And people wouldn't call you a bandwagon because of the history, because they're already a pretty popular team. And, but yeah, and there's nothing but hope for this team. And that's great. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right, Austin?
Oh, I wanted to do this one.
Oh my gosh.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
Dude, I don't want to be too harsh on all of them, but I would probably put it C. I'd probably put C tier. And what makes them better than the Lions is they have been to a few Super Bowls, and they've had exciting players in their history, and they have an exciting team now for the most part. They've got a fun offense. I mean, Matt Ryan wasn't a fun part of their offense, but I mean, they've got weapons everywhere. They've got cool uniforms.
They do have cool
colors,
uniforms,
and their newest threads are pretty dope, as the not so much kids say. But you will get your heart broken a lot. So like they've got all the like really cool people are fans of the Falcons. Like whenever you see a Falcons fan, they're usually like pretty cool looking.
That's true.
And so you're gonna have dope company. I don't know why I keep saying that, but it's not like the pain that you will feel as a Falcons fan is so great that you can't be in B tier because you're never going to live down 28-3.
Dude, that's what I was gonna say, man. Like, if you're a Falcons fan, I hope you're ready to get memed on all the time.
Yeah, you're a target for memes that no one's ever going to forget that. No one's ever. And then this year, people the proof keeps coming up in the pudding of how many blown fourth quarter leads of this year. Like the Falcons just have such a tarnished reputation at this point, worse than it's ever been. And you know, you're in a division that no one cares about for the most part. They only care about it right now because of Tom Brady, and then the Saints were the only thing making it relevant for a while, which they'll probably be back in the basement pretty soon. So, I mean, if there's anything to also not keep it in the D tier is that there's not a division rival that is obviously the dominant team in that division for too long. So, so I mean, it's really cool to root for the Falcons. It's just not. The football's not going to be very fun. It's not easy. You're gonna be sad a lot.
That's the thing, man. I got mad respect for Falcons fans right now because they basically have been in the refiner's fire and will be in the refiner's fire for the foreseeable future. So if you like heat and fire and pain, become a Falcons fan.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm gonna put them in a B tier. Well, yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
I think I'll keep them in the B. So here's the good things about the Ravens. I think they're playing football. Their style of football, especially offensively, in the last few years, is kind of an outlier. It's different. It's edgy. It's fun. It's entertaining, which is exactly what you want when you sit down and watch a football game. Lamar Jackson is a young quarterback. He's a young star. He may have a little bit of the Madden curse right now, but that doesn't last too long. The future is bright for the Ravens. But I feel like the Ravens are one of the teams that has accumulated a lot of bandwagon fans in the last few years, which to other fans in the league kind of puts a tarnish or a blemish on their reputation. It's just like it's kind of a melting pot. It's a good landing spot for bandwagoners lately, mainly because of Lamar Jackson and the dominance they've kind of had offensively, especially in prior years. But Baltimore is a really cool city. A lot of style. They're the other team that has purple colors, which is dope. Yeah, I think the Ravens are fun. I think really the thing that keeps them from being like an A or B tier is just the fact that they have lots of bandwagon fans right now and lots of new fans, which is kind of looked at as a bad thing in the league, but as well as kind of, I don't know. Really, Lamar Jackson's the only interesting thing about the Ravens. They don't have too many other huge stars on the team. So really, if you like Lamar Jackson and his play style, be a Ravens fan. If you don't, there's probably a better option.
I like it. All right, Chicago Bears. Easy, and how could I not? You got to put the C in the C, man. Put it in C. Look, the Bears are at a crossroads right now. So this ranking could change drastically in the near future because something's got to give. They're either going to get even worse or they're going to turn things around and get better. But the problem is if they make some big move, if they sign Deshaun, whatever, then there will be many more fans coming to Chicago and you'll just be one of the many. Unfortunately, there's not that much talk of that. More than likely, they're going to stay pretty bad. But they're not a D tier because they still went to the playoffs this year, despite the fact that everyone kind of agrees that the Bears are not that good. They somehow keep being somewhat competitive. So you can't put them in the pit of misery. But at the same time, right now, there's not I can't see any way that they're going to have much hope to get to the Super Bowl. Like, if this roster they have now comes back next year, no one thinks they have a chance of going to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I'm going to go with C tier on that.
Yeah, I'll agree. The cool thing about the Bears, being a Bears fan, is outside of the NFC North, like people like Bears fans, like they're also kind of cool in a different way than the Falcons fans, but
Yeah.
and they've got history, which is cool.
Absolutely.
But if you're rooting for a team currently, yeah, there's nothing going on for them really. They're kind of too good to be made fun of, and too bad to have a lot of fans. So
Yeah. Yeah.
The Bears.
Kind of forgotten. Yeah.
All right.
Am I the Jags? Oh,
You're the Jags, man.
Frick.
This is a tough one. This is a tough
It's
one.
another tough one. It is.
There are positives of being a Jags fan, but I'm actually going to put them in D tier.
Ooh.
Ooh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's why. Because if you have any respect for football, like the actual football, the game of football, the Jags are definitely D tier. Like, forget everything else. Forget Duval and having a pool in your stadium and all that crap. Like, if you want to root for a football team that plays football, it's not the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay? Like, their uniforms, it depends on your taste. Most of the time, I think they're atrocious. But the things that are positive that I can say that I guess more for the Lions would be they do have a pool in their stadium.
A negative and a positive.
All right.
Yeah, like
well, maybe we should just like move.
Jaguars game. No one's watching the game. You're there to like eat a hot dog and look at bikinis at the pool. And so in December, and so like the nice thing too is like no one's gonna like it's almost too hipster to root for them too. Like the bandwagon thing, like a Browns fan, like it's kind of like, you know, you're rooting for a bad team a little ironically, but it's not too bad because they are getting better. Jaguars, they're like such a new team with absolutely no history. There's two other teams in Florida that you could be rooting for. If you're a Jaguars fan, people are just going to call you a hipster. And like,
yeah, I think that's the perfect description because they now have Nick Saban. They're going to get Trevor Lawrence. It's like,
I mean, that's a positive. They do have, this is the most hope they've had in a long time. And it's a shred of hope. That's all they have right now as they're on the roster.
Now,
and they don't even have Trevor Lawrence on the roster right now, and there's no guarantee that he'll be good. So
yeah, that's what you sold me on, because if you go the Jaguars now, you will be called a bandwagon because everyone knows Trevor Lawrence is on his way there. But it's a big risk still. So high risk.
He has no help. He's a rookie. It's going to look a lot like Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You could be called a bandwagoner and still root for a sucky team. That does suck.
That's called being a hipster bandwagoner. 100%.
You sold me. I was actually thinking they were a high ranking, but you're so right.
No, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but you hit the nail on the head, bro. If you're a hipster and listening to this, be a Jaguars fan. It's where you belong. Okay. Bengals. I'm going to go C tier. I feel like the only reason I didn't want to put them in C tier is because we have so many in C tier right now, but they belong in the C tier. Joe Burrow's awesome. He's got a heck of a career ahead of him. But other than that, the Bengals are kind of like the Lions to me, where they're just They're not good. They haven't been good. They're a younger team. But they're not good, and they're not going to be good for a long time. Like, if you like losing, become a Bengals fan, because that's what their franchise is. They should just change it to an L instead of a B. But also, I think they may have the most atrocious uniforms of the league. Same thing. It's like, dude, tigers are cool and powerful and exotic, and you have a bee. It's just a bee with black stripe, like an orange bee with a few black stripes. And then I don't know why, but their stadium, it's so stupid to me. Like, oh, let's make our stadium look like a jungle and have like tiger eyes looking out. Like, it's almost like it looks childish. Like, it looks like the preschool stadium where, you know, preschools, they like paint the walls to look like a jungle for kids to be excited. That's like how I feel when you go to the Bengals stadium. I've been there, didn't like it. But yeah, they're just kind of losers, and
Sure.
They're losers.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty true. Yeah. They lose.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to try and see if we can start speeding this up, but it's not going to be easy because I've been placed. I have the duty of ranking the star. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
All right.
The
I'm
first
going to
of
say
our
what I
fan
think.
team, so this will be interesting.
Yeah.
You can. We're going to hear from Austin after I give my thoughts, because he's in this fan base. Oh, this is so hard. Even if there wasn't a Cowboys fan here. Oh, frick. All right, look.
How does that feel, Austin? How does it feel when I just put it there?
I'm not putting them D. I'm not putting them D. Oh gosh. I'm going to put him at a B. Put it at a B. And I'll tell you why. This is hard. If you become a Cowboys fan, you will have the most fun made out of your team, out of any other team, no matter what they do. Falcons, doesn't matter. You know, Jets, hardly win a game, doesn't matter. Everyone will make fun of the Cowboys more forever. but the community, the community of the Cowboys fan is undeniable. There's always those Cowboys fans saying their thing, doing their stuff. And you know, if you're a Cowboys fan, there's going to be other people who are going to be just obnoxious and whatever. But you know what? They're going to come out of the woodworks whenever your team wins, and they're going to celebrate with you. So
I think one of the biggest perks is you get to become one of them boys.
You get to be them boys. Look, for the past 2 decades, it's been really rough. 1.5, 2 decades, it's been rough for Cowboys. And they're not exactly right now at a place where hope is at an all-time high. There's actually a lot of question marks. But at the same time, you're in a really bad division. Every year, you have a shot to make the playoffs because usually the other division mates suck as bad as you do. If you suck, or if you're pretty good, you'll be in the running. So I'm going to put it a B. It's divisive, and if Austin says you're stupid, it's a C or a D, or if he says higher, you know what? Then I'll defer to you, Austin. What do you think?
If this was 2 to 3 years ago, I'd put it at an A, but I think you're right at a B standpoint at this point. But here's the perks, okay? Here's the perks of being a Cowboys fan. All right? Your team is going to be on prime time a lot. So it's going to be very easy to watch all the games. ESPN, Fox Sports, all the news stuff, there's going to be a segment on the Cowboys sometime every day. So team's going to be talked about a lot. We're all in this together. We get made fun of a lot, but we all have each other's backs. And any town in America you go to, you will find a brother in your fan base. Okay.
Yeah.
But right now, and they're a lot of fun. Even when they're bad, they're a lot of fun to watch. So, but as of right now, hope is kind of at an all-time low for the Cowboys. But with such a rich history, the Patriots just barely passed them like last year in playoff wins total. So like they have a very big history of winning, so you can always go back to that. And you get made fun of for it, but like at least you get to like have that history. And and whether your players deserve it or not, you're gonna have stars on your team. So literal and figurative stars that are going to be household names just because they play for the Cowboys. So there's a lot of perks. But when it comes to football, kind of how I talked about the Jaguars, as of right now, coming into it, the fan base at right now, it's mostly miserable just because like the opposition has a lot of points against you right now, and we're not very good. So
I also feel like I've never seen a picture or heard of a different NFL fan that's like a grown man crying. So if you're like emotionally sensitive, being a Cowboy is a good place to go because you're allowed to cry. It's okay. Grown men can cry.
And then people will drink your tears, but we have passion, and the division has passion too. It's the most fun. There's some of the most fun divisional rivalries because like we're very hateful. We say a lot of hateful things to each other, and it gets really, really heated, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, Austin.
All right,
you got the Texans.
The Houston Texans. I'm a harsh grader. It's kind of the same thing with the Cowboys. If this was like 2 years ago, I would say B. But I'll put it at a D.
That's
right
on the
spot.
This is the worst time to become a Texans fan. They have no history because they've only been a team since 2002. Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback by far that the team has ever had, and he's about to leave or not play. So the team has been thrown to the wolves, eaten by them, chewed up, spit out, and then come and gotten eaten by vultures. And the vultures came, pooped it out, and is now getting eaten by worms. Like, there is absolutely zero hope for you right now as a Texans fan if you were to become a Texans fan today, and you have absolutely nothing in your past to point to smile at. There is only tears, and it's a little unfair, but life's unfair. So
I think your first statement summed it up. Right now is the worst time to be a Texans fan. And that's saying a lot because there's never been that great of a time to be a Texans fan. All right. Colts. This one might be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to put Colts in the D tier.
Oh, no. What? That hard, is hard. Why?
Disagree. Hard disagree.
Okay, you got to have a good reason for that.
Because you're going to move that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's hear it.
Okay. Yes, Peyton Manning was a franchise quarterback for the Colts for a long time. But other than that, the Colts are boring. Indianapolis. I have nothing. I've been to that city before. I have nothing significant to relate to that city other than Peyton Manning and the Colts in my head. Their jerseys aren't the ugliest, but probably the most boring in the league. Their logo is lame. Same thing. Like Colts, powerful, strong horses. They don't even have a horse in their logo. It's a horseshoe. Okay? I'm sorry, Colts fans, but your logo sucks. Your city is boring. Yeah, there's history, but most of that history is based on Peyton Manning. Like, I'm sure Austin can, but I can't think of any other high-level NFL player / legend
What?
besides Peyton Manning that was a Colt?
Andrew Luck, maybe?
Not even
No,
that.
dude,
John Unitas. I know that's a long time ago, but
That's
John
a
Unitas
see.
is considered one of their best.
That's so long ago. I don't care. And Andrew Luck, yeah, he would be there, but he retired early, so his career is a bust to me.
Man.
And you just got Carson Wentz. Congratulations. There's nothing solid is saying you got a good quarterback right now, other than what he did a few years ago on a different team.
Dude.
There's nothing you said that convinced me that this is a D tier.
No way, man. Okay. I was going to put them at a B.
Really?
I thought about an A, but that might be a little high. But look at their company. They don't deserve to be next to the Texans and the Jaguars and the Lions, dude.
Any team that has 2 Super Bowls needs to be somewhere else.
And they were playoff contenders this past year. They were a good team.
So?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? The 3 teams that are in there right now have never even been to a Super Bowl.
Okay,
dude. We can,
for the sake of time,
at least put them at C.
I'll put them at C. I'll meet you guys in the middle. I may be biased. I just
still disagree.
There's
so much
nothing exciting about the Colts, in my opinion, and there never has been. But the fact that they've won Super Bowls,
the most exciting offenses ever.
They were like the football, like Colts football. That's like synonymous. Like,
dude. But that's the thing. I'm not gonna base the rankings solely on what happened over half a decade ago.
I know. I said they're still competitive now.
They're not, though.
They are. What do you mean?
They were this close to beating the Bills in the wild card game with Phillip Rivers.
5, dude.
That's the thing. It was a fluke, flash in the pan. I'll put them in the same ranking as the Browns and the Buccaneers because it's the same story.
The Colts are far and away the best team in the AFC South, which isn't saying much, but they go to the playoffs and they're competitive every year.
Well,
all right.
It was my turn to go, and I put them there.
Fair enough. All right, we gotta move on. Rams. Rams are a B. I'd put them at a B. It's hard. I almost thought about putting them in an A, but the problem is everyone already assumes if you're a Rams fan, you're already a bandwagon. For the most part, I would say they're definitely one of the bandwagon franchises still right now.
If any team in LA you're going to be,
but the perks of being a Rams fan, one, ever since Sean McVay came to town, they played a very exciting brand of football. And they've tried to be cool. They've tried to be sleek. And when it was working really good, they were lighting up the league and everyone couldn't stop, cheering and admiring the Rams whenever possible. And even though I was a big detractor of how good I thought the Rams were this last season, they still went to the playoffs and they won a game. But the thing is, they just got Matt Stafford. So that's getting Matt Stafford's why I almost put them in an A. Because I'm like, I do think they have the piece now to be really, really good. And things could be looking even better for the Rams. But the fact that everyone, no matter whenever you cheer for the Rams in public, they'll say you're a bandwagon fan. It'll be true. And it's not necessarily like a for sure. I don't know. I could make an argument for A. If you guys said A, I would be fine with it. But I just said B.
I'm fine with B.
Or maybe
I'm fine with
say
B.
something else too. Okay.
I'm good with B. All right, Austin, you got the Chargers up.
The Chargers, I'm going to put at a C. And for the most part, the Chargers, I'm between a B and a C. But I'm going to say C just because it's a lot of sadness for the most part. You can have a great team, and it doesn't matter how good it is. It can even be 15-1, and something will go wrong horribly. But there are upsides to being a Chargers fan. Justin Herbert is looking like he's going to be a stud. They have really cool uniforms. Their powdered blue uniforms are universally considered one of the best. I don't think you'd be really considered a bandwagon if you were to join the Chargers, even because the Chargers have been good before, but no one actually ever believes that they're going to win the Super Bowl, no matter how good they are. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like the Chargers have so few fans. Like, no matter what, they're teased about. Most of the time, more fans from another team is at their stadium than their own. So just know that when you're a Chargers fan, things are going to go wrong. It's usually going to happen in special teams. And
yes, it will.
And you can have Phillip Rivers in his prime, LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Merriman, Antonio Gates, all on the same team, and have like one of the best Chargers teams you've ever seen. And it just happens to be the New England Patriots are undefeated that same year of your best chance to ever win a Super Bowl. And so,
yeah. I'll agree there.
Yeah,
I'll agree there. All right, Titans. Sorry, I'm gonna put them in B. I think the Titans are cool. I think Derrick Henry's a baller, and also entertaining to watch. It's Derrick Henry's almost like being a NASCAR fan, where crashes don't happen often, but that's why half the people watch NASCAR. It's like the amazing stiff arms don't happen often, but when they do, it was all worth it. Ryan Tannehill is a cool story. Just, someone that was basically mediocre on the Dolphins for so many years came to the Titans, and we all saw what he truly is. I think they have potential to be a good team in the future. I honestly think, and this is totally personal and biased, but I just think Titans and the logo and the theme is like my favorite in the NFL. And I think their uniforms are pretty cool to go along with it. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry. They make it to the playoffs. They're very competitive. They probably will be for a long time. Titans are B.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Can't go wrong with it.
All right. This is it.
He's a big boy.
This is the Chiefs, guys. I'm going to need to check this with you guys. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking right now.
Okay.
And it's probably not what you think. Or maybe it is. I want to put them in S. The Chiefs should be in S right now. And I'll tell you why. The Chiefs, right now, this may be, based on what we saw about 2 weeks ago, the only window you ever have to sneak in and get the least amount of bandwagon fingers pointed at you at any time since Patrick Mahomes arrived in Kansas City. The Chiefs, and here's the thing, you'll still be called a bandwagoner, but the reason why there's no better team is the return you're going to get as far as wins, playoff contention, and Super Bowl victories is more sure for this team than any other. Who cares if they call you a bandwagon fan? You won't give a frick because your team's beating everyone else's team. Like, at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want to root for a team that's great. You want to, and like I said, right now, they're not going to get as much heat for becoming a Chiefs fan right now as if you became a Buccaneers fan, because the Buccaneers just whooped up on the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. I see your point.
So I could say, if you guys are like, no, they're the Chiefs, they can't be the S. But to me, it's like, what other team are you going to point on here and become a fan of and expect to get more wins and more enjoyment from victory from? There's no other team.
It's true.
So I don't know. That's my reasoning.
The future is the brightest of any team, and you have Patrick Mahomes for 10 years, so you get to enjoy a decade of Patrick Mahomes, and you will have a very good reason to believe that you will win many Super Bowls, and even if you don't, like Patrick Mahomes is a heck of a player to watch play, and there's lots of star power, but even besides that are all locked in for a while. So,
yep,
I
agree.
I'll allow it.
I agree with it all. All right, Austin, you got the Saints.
Okay, the Saints. I'm going to put in B tier. And right now it's a question on whether or not. So the Saints have just enjoyed for the past 15 years the best times that the Saints have ever had. The Saints were trash before Drew Brees and Sean Payton arrived there. And so there's nothing to smile about before that. But you do have a lot of recent success and a lot of reason to believe that the Saints will be good post Drew Brees because the roster is still very good. And you do have players, whether or not you believe in Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, and they still have a chance to get the Jameis Winston and them are also pieces to acquire someone else that could be good for them. As of right now, with an old Drew Brees, who was a turnover machine, they were still one of the best teams. They were the number one seed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure in the NFC. So, and we saw success with other quarterbacks. The only question is we're not sure if they're about to come back to their old ways or not. There's only one Super Bowl in the history. The fans are really cool, but you are going to get a lot of flack for being one of the whiniest team or fan bases in the league because of all the controversial things that have happened to them. So you're going to get a maybe undeserved rap of being a crybaby. But as far as logo goes, it's kind of boring, but at least black is always a cool color to have as one of your colors. So.
I think their jerseys are the classiest, especially the blacked out with gold. Those are classy jerseys.
Yeah, they're classy uniforms, so I'll give them that. And the fan base is you will find a lot of friends in that fan base because they're also very passionate, and you got cool traditions.
Absolutely,
for sure.
And they got the Superdome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking A or B. I would maybe
I was teetering on that
lean
too.
towards A, but you make good points to keep them in the B. You got good points. Okay. New York Giants. This one's kind of hard for me. I'm gonna use a lifeline and ask friends. Guys, I'm torn between D and C.
Man, dude, you're even harsher than me. I thought I was harsh. Definitely not D. And I'm a Cowboys fan. I hate the Giants. But
I guess, yeah, I think you're right.
The 2 wins over Brady that alone keeps them out of D.
I just remembered
they have 4
that.
Super Bowls. That's more than the Seahawks and more than the Broncos.
Yes.
Yeah, but having Daniel Jones as your quarterback with no real sign of change right now.
Yeah,
he looked it's C. I would say C, maybe.
Yeah. So
I would say C right now. If you're joining right now, yeah.
I'm gonna put it.
That's what I would say too.
Yeah. So here's my reasoning. They do have some of the best Super Bowl wins ever, and as much flack as Eli Manning gets, I respect the guy because he's done what no one else could.
We're all grateful for Eli. Everyone's grateful.
Yes, everyone should be an Eli fan. But I think they're one of the most poorly owned teams and pretty poorly run lately. Daniel Jones is not exciting. I forget his name all the time. And yeah, I mean, you're probably not gonna win too many games in the future. New York's cool and all, but it's pretty average in the football world, if not below average.
Yeah, I agree. There's no stars, and the Giants are just living off tradition.
Yep,
That's all it has right now.
absolutely.
This
Okay.
one's really hard. I think I'm gonna put him in D. I think I am.
Wow.
And it's tough. I didn't want to, but here's the thing, and here's why they get D. Obviously, the future is their future's not necessarily bleak. It's uncertain. No one really knows what's in the store for the Eagles because they just changed quarterbacks, and he's shown flashes of promise, but he's not giving the hopes of Justin Herbert this past season. You know what I mean? But here's why they get D. Everyone knows, whether you like them or you hate them, the Eagles are the scum. The Eagles fans are the scumbags of the NFL world.
They have like
That's
the
true.
least brain cells on average of all.
Look, you're gonna become an Eagles fan, and you're not gonna like your fellow fans at all. You're gonna hate them, and you should hate them because they're awful people. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, you'll hear the story. You'll be an Eagles fan. You'll probably tell people, and if they follow the NFL, maybe they'll bring up about the time, they beat up Santa or whatever, threw snowballs at him at the stadium, or that's the thing. It's kind of fun to a degree, and we'll get to it later. But it's kind of like the Bills, but only the negative parts. The passion purely fueled into negativity and destruction. So, for that reason of being regarded as a low life, it's got to be a D. If they were looking really, really good, they'd probably move up. But they're not at all in that position. They got to be a D.
Not to mention, their fans are dumb, but as of lately, their coaches and front offices are dumb too. It really, that picture, you remember that viral video when they won the Super Bowl a few years ago of that guy in like a subway station, like running along with a train, and he's like, "We won a Super Bowl," and then he like smashes into this like pillar in the terminal because he wasn't paying attention. That's like the story of the Eagles after they won the Super Bowl.
Right.
They got really cocky, and then they smashed into a brick wall.
Exactly. And see, everyone looks at that and they're like, yeah, that's funny, but no one wants to be that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. You miss your only fun time of being an Eagle fan if you're just now joining.
Yeah,
so
it's a little late too. So.
For sure.
It's too late. And it's only downhill from there.
Yeah. All right, Steelers up.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. You may give me some flack for this.
Oh no.
But I'm actually gonna put them in A tier.
Oh, I agree with you, actually.
Okay. So A tier. So here's why. Whatever your thoughts on Big Ben are, that's fine. But the rest of the roster is amazing. The wide receivers are a little bit annoying, but for the most part, you can get past it because the Pittsburgh Steelers, for a long time, have been the most dominant team in the AFC North and are always in playoff contention. You're tied for the most Super Bowl wins in history. Since the Steelers are such an established fan base, and one of the bigger ones, you're just called a bandwagon in general, but no one's super mad about it because you've probably been rooting for them for a long time. The bandwagons that they have been a fan for a long time. So and since they're always good, they're not getting a ton of new ones. So because they have the established reputation. I don't like the Pittsburgh Steelers personally, but I have to admit that there's a lot of upside to rooting for them. Their future is not bleak in any way. So you've got the past to look for. The present is good. The future, the front office has always made good decisions. They've only had a bad stretch once in their whole history since the 70s. So there's you can't go wrong being a Steelers fan.
Yep, I agree. It's a very good team to become a fan of. I also dislike them and detest most of their fans, but I highly recommend becoming one. Broncos. Ooh. I'm putting.
You're too generous, dude. You're too freaking
No.
generous, man.
No, I think they're a great team to be a fan of.
No, they're not. All right, go ahead.
Okay, here's my argument. They've won Super Bowls. Peyton Manning finished his career very well on a high note as a Bronco. And everybody loves Peyton Manning, so you should love the Broncos. As well as, they're a team that doesn't have a ton of history besides that. They've just kind of been a lukewarm team for so long. But I think in the last 5, 6, 7 years, they've kind of been on the very slow and gradual uptrend. I do think they replace Drew Lock soon, and I think they'll replace him with, whether it's Deshaun Watson or someone else, I think they'll get another star. And when you have a star on the Broncos, it usually works out pretty well. They actually have a good logo for having a powerful, awesome. I mean,
that's true.
The mascot is a Bronco, and the logo fits it perfectly. I think their colors are cool. Colors are cool. They're unique.
The colors are cool, but I don't like the uniforms.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, I don't like the uniforms, but the colors are cool.
They just need to make their alternate uniforms their blue uniforms. That should most Broncos country thinks just make that the uniform.
Absolutely, yeah. Because when I see people wearing Broncos uniforms, it's always their alt kit because
everyone knows it looks way better.
It's way better. But that's the thing is, I think they just fit in B perfectly because they have potential. They've recently been good. And honestly, the only reason they struggled this year was because they had so many injuries. I think they would have been a playoff contender if it weren't for injuries. And that's with Drew Lock as your quarterback.
I wish I could say the same, but I'll take it. You know what? I'll take whatever we can get, man. I like it.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Packers. I'm going to have to put the Packers on A tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, here's the thing. We may or may not be coming to the sooner or later end of Aaron Rodgers' reign in Green Bay. That might be happening. But the good news is, if the Green Bay Packers, if there's one thing that they've done in the past couple decades better than anyone else, it's seamlessly and fluidly go from one great quarterback to another. Now, no one knows if that's going to happen with Jordan Love or maybe someone else, but at least we know they're a franchise that's done it and they're capable of doing it. So there's reason to believe when Aaron Rodgers hangs it up, they might have a good succession plan in place and they can continue to be competitive. But as far as right now, it's great to be a Packers fan because you're pretty much going to make the playoffs every year almost by default. I mean, maybe the Vikings kind of pressure you a little bit, but not really. You'll probably be in the playoffs, and really, you'll be seen, as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, as a Super Bowl contending team. So it's great.
Yeah. The only thing for me keeping it actually from S tier is just me rolling my eyes when I hear someone's a Packers fan. Because to me, a Packers fan is just a Cowboys fan that can't take the heat.
Oh, that was a burn, dude.
Yeah, I'll tell it to Josh Black's face one of these days.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is, I think if you're a Packers fan, you could yell, "Go Pack, go," and someone will yell it back within earshot distance. They have a lot of fans spread across the nation.
That's true.
But for good reason. I mean, they're the one team that's owned by a community and not an individual. And that's another thing. If you meet a Packers fan, they'll make sure they let you know that like 2 or 3 times within the conversation. But at the same time, it is something that's respectable. Lambeau Field's got a lot of history. The team's got a lot of history.
Tons of history. That's true for
Yeah.
sure.
So they're always a solid choice, even though you'll find lots of friends there.
Yeah,
But
the fans are very nice.
Yeah.
They're kind of hokey. They're like, even the ones that aren't from Wisconsin, I feel like anytime I meet a Packers fan, they're usually kind of corny and hokey.
I mean, they
bit.
like to put
Yeah.
cheese on their head, so that's
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
all right. Austin with the Panthers.
I'll put them. Man, I wish there was like a B.5, like 0.5 or something. I would say I'm gonna put him at C. Just because they're a newer franchise. But they've proved their worth to the NFL. They've gone to a few Super Bowls. They've had fun times. But they're just kind of few and far between. So you're not going to have a lot of camaraderie around the country with Panthers fans. You don't find them very often. They have a few. Like, they have Christian McCaffrey, and they've had Cam Newton and Steve Smith, and those are about the biggest stars that they've had ever. So you're not like usually having the star power on your team. They're always in contention for the NFC South, but they're not, like, rarely are they the favorites. Only just been a few years in their history that they have been. They have cool uniforms, so I'll give them that. But as far as football goes, like, the head coach is still questionable. Came from college. This is his first time as an NFL head coach. You haven't had a lot of answers since Cam Newton. If you get Deshaun Watson, then a B for sure. But if that ends up not happening, I don't know. It's just gonna be boring football, I foresee, for another 5 years, unless they hit on a draft pick quarterback. They don't have the most optimistic future of NFL franchises, and they don't have that great of a present or past. So I would put them at C.
Well said.
Like it. All right, Raiders. I'm putting them in a B. There's something special about being the rebels of the league, and the Raiders are the rebels of the league. Not to mention John Gruden. He's one of the most interesting coaches in the league for a lot of reasons. And same thing. I think the Raiders have historically not been that great, but they're definitely on an uptrend. I think Derek Carr is an underrated quarterback, and he's definitely someone you can be a fan of. And I think the move to Las Vegas is good for the team and good for the fan base. Obviously, there's going to be butthurt, Oakland citizens that hate it. But, I mean, at some point, they're going to have to stop kidding themselves and realize that.
I mean, they had to go to that field. They know how bad it sucks.
Yeah,
come on.
like, I'm sorry, but you just weren't enough for the team. Like, you couldn't support them. But yeah, I mean, I think the Raiders fans have a lot of stereotypes. But some of the classiest NFL fans have been Raider fans at the same time that I've met. So cool colors, cool uniforms, cool coach, cool city. Solid B.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Great. Yeah, that's good. All right. Yeah, just put him in a D right now, dude. Just look, how can I not? That logo's not even applicable.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to join an NFL team that doesn't have a name, that doesn't have a future, and doesn't have much of a past, then the Washington football team's for you, my friend. Because this team, look, congratulations, Washington football team. You were the best of the worst division this past year. Well done. But you still suck. You're still not that good. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the Washington football team might have the worst owner in the league, Dan Snyder. Everyone, you just wait every few months, they'll talk about, sexual assault allegations and all kinds of crap going on there. And then, like I said, they just got rid of their logo, their name. So I just don't really know what there is to get excited about for the Washington football team. I mean, yeah,
I agree.
that's all there is.
I love seeing them down there.
Placeholder logo, placeholder name, literally placeholder name.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's very boring, and they're not even fun. Like, they're not even fun enough to get made fun of.
Yeah,
like Browns and Jags and Lions are fun to make fun of. Like, Washington football team, it's like, I think there's a lot of networks even that forget they're a team.
Yeah, seriously. Well said. All right, Austin, Cardinals.
Cardinals, I would put it a B. You can't go wrong with being a Cardinals fan. I think if you told someone's a Cardinals fan, they'd just be like, "Oh, cool." And there's nothing. Their bandwagon hasn't hit their peak yet. They've had a lot of fun players, a lot of respectable players on their team. The state of Arizona is one of my favorite states, so there's that. I really like their color scheme. I love red and white. Those are my favorite colors together.
Yeah, they're cool.
And I know, like, Kyler Murray wants to change their uniforms, in which, they need an update, but I like them how they are, though.
Yeah, they're good.
I like them a lot. But yeah, I mean, they're contenders, and they have a lot to be excited for. Kyler Murray is an exciting player. They've got DeAndre Hopkins. They've had Larry Fitzgerald, who's like the most likable guy in the league. Yeah, they're just really likable. They're contenders, but they're not like, surefire going to win a Super Bowl, because they haven't yet. But they're a fun team to watch, and you're going to turn on a Sunday, 50-50 chance they'll win. So, and that's always exciting.
Yeah, man. Also, I just want to make a point about the 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks, and Rams. I think one benefit to those four teams is, at this point in time, I think they're in the most competitive division in the league, and that always, your seasons are going to be interesting. They're all pretty good teams, but there's still a chance they don't even make the playoffs because of the division they're in, which is kind of cool. All right.
I like it.
All right, guys. Here's one.
I've been waiting for this one.
I know. I've had this the one I wanted to have.
Okay. I am going to put them in S tier.
I like it. Yeah.
It's like, it's between A tier and S tier, but here's my argument. I don't know. Actually, like, the argument, it's hard to come up with words for the argument unless you've just watched the NFL and kind of understand the situation. But the Bills are a team with history, even though they don't have history. Yeah. Like, because basically our definition of history is have won a Super Bowl, which they haven't done, but they went to 4 in a row. And it's like the most heartbreaking story, but also like one of the coolest stories if you experienced it. But here's the deal. They were so good in the 90s, and then they were so non-existent until like recently. And all of a sudden, they are like one of the most well-run and well-owned teams in the NFL. You obviously have Stephon Diggs that came this year that made things really exciting, especially for guys, I'm doing it again.
Josh Allen.
I kept wanting to say Daniel Jones. Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's kind of like what we talked about, arguably the best from his draft class. Could be in the like top 5 in the league here in the next few years if things keep going the way they have been. But I don't know. I think the one mark I have on them is like their uniform's really boring to me. And Buffalo, New York is like legitimately believe is a ghost town. But the team itself, the history, the story, the potential, like kind of like Kansas City, but maybe to a lesser degree. Like if you want a team that's going to win a lot, the Bills are probably going to win a lot. And there's nothing you can dislike about the players or the team.
I like it. I like it, dude. I agree with all of that. I'd say like right now is the time to become a Bills fan. If not now, then a year ago or so, because they're coming out of being under the foot of the Patriots for a long, long time. So there's a lot of hope, and they might be the most beloved fan base in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like I made the connection with the Eagles or like the Bills energy, but negative. The Bills, everyone just loves a Bills fan. They're like, they get so pumped. They do these crazy donations with certain things, like the games. Like, if I ever met a Bills fan, I'd be like, dude, that's awesome. Like, I would like be happy to meet a Bills fan. I think that's super cool, and hope is bright. So
yeah.
You meet a Bills fan, February 2021.
Yeah. You meet a Bills fan, you're like, you're a good person.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. All right. Seahawks. Oh man.
Obviously.
Not quite S. Dang, this is hard. I need a lifeline too. What do you guys? Wait, no, I can't ask Thomas.
Yeah, don't ask me. It's bias.
Austin, what are you thinking?
Honestly, I would say A.
You okay? I was saying B or an A, so you say A. Let's go A. All right, yeah. and here's why I would say they're worthy of an A. If you want to come to the NFL, and look, and this is it. Why do you want to watch football? Because you want to be entertained. You want to watch entertaining football. Seahawks are your team because they could be playing freaking the Kansas City Chiefs or the New York Jets. Either way, it's going to be a nail biter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to be close. It's going to be a one-score game. Don't know if they'll win or lose, but it'll be close. No, they're always good. That's the thing about the Seahawks. I was going to almost put them at B just because for the past little while, they just seem to be just can't get quite over that hump sort of a team. But you know what? It doesn't seem to matter because the next year they're going to be really highly regarded and everyone will consider them to have a better chance than almost any other team to get to the playoffs and win. So A is good. And everyone thinks most Seahawks fans are bandwagoners because before the Legion of Boom, there's a connotation of there wasn't really any Seahawks fans outside of Seattle. But that's been around so long, it's like, whatever, dude. Like, that's old news. It's fine. You can be a Seahawks fan now, and yeah, that's my reasoning.
We've all lived in Washington, so we all know a lot of Seahawks fans, and they're pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fun football, and more often than not, you don't know if they're going to win or lose, but more often than not, they do win. Mm-hmm. And it's fun. A recent history so far, like there's reason to be optimistic as a Seahawks fan. The Russell Wilson news aside, like if Russell Wilson stays, you're good for being a Seahawks fan for the next 5 years.
Absolutely.
I agree.
All right.
The New York Jets, without a doubt, is. I'm going to put them at D tier, actually. I considered C just because things are changing, but things have changed before for the Jets. It didn't work out. So, to me, they make a lot of bad personnel decisions, and that was even before Adam Gase. They haven't had a quarterback since Joe Namath. Like you can say Sam Darnold, but like for the Jets, he has not been good. So like he may be good on another team. He may actually be a good quarterback, but for your New York Jets, he has not been good. It doesn't look like he will be. So they don't have, like, besides Joe Namath and like being the catalyst of joining the NFL and the AFL back in like 1969, there is nothing that the Jets have besides that. And they even downgraded uniforms, in my opinion. I think their new uniforms aren't that fun. But I have a bias towards white helmets. But I don't know. Like, they're just really boring. And now they have a really exciting head coach, but they haven't proved, like, there hasn't been enough for me to get too excited about anything that they're doing. So, especially now Deshaun Watson doesn't want to be on their team anymore. Like, I don't know who they would get now that is going to improve them soon enough for you to want to bandwagon them right now. Because you're going to watch a lot of losing games, even with all the draft picks that they have.
Probably for a while too.
Yeah.
That's true. That's facts.
Also, guys, I just want to point this out. I was just looking at their logo. Doesn't it look like it should be like a letterhead? Like, it's a letterhead for like some big corporation in New York City.
It could use a refresh for sure.
Like, that does not look like a sports logo. Like, minus the football, that is not a sports logo.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's true.
All right, guys. I've known that I was gonna get this one since the beginning because I counted it out, and I'm really stressed about this one. So I don't want to argue with you guys, but I want to put it where I think it should go, and you guys, I'm open to moving it if you guys feel the need to.
Dang, dude.
Let me just explain why. Let me explain why.
Explain, and then I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong.
No, guys, I don't want to argue. I am open to moving it, but here are the big things. Everyone has a bias against the Patriots besides Patriots fans. Everyone. I think it's too soon because for the last decade they've been a dynasty. Okay? And it has been like, yeah, the Seahawks got a lot of bandwagoners at one point. The Ravens did. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs did. But overall, no team screams bandwagon fans more, and then like a disappearance of fans after Tom Brady left, than the Patriots. So I think it's still just too soon. As a team at this point, basically your head coach, who everyone thought was absolutely amazing, and he's still good, but to a degree, we've realized he may be a little fraudulent on his actual, mastery and dominance. It's more a system that worked for him. You don't have a bright future. I think the most talented player on your roster is your cornerback that will probably be traded soon. Your quarterback situation does not look good. You don't have trades or picks to get good trades to replace him. And it's the Patriots.
Okay. I actually agree with what you're saying, Thomas, but I know what Austin is thinking, what we're all thinking, I think, to a degree. So let me just say this. And Austin, if you have more to add it. But no team that has won 6 trophies in the last decade and a half can be in the D tier. They just can't.
Dude,
it's just not fair. But wait, no, hear me out, because I do agree with you on this, Thomas. Becoming a Patriots fan right now, it's like, imagine there was like the greatest party ever, dude. Like all night long. It was an amazing, fantastic party. And then in the morning when everyone is like passed out, there's like vomit everywhere and everything's destroyed, that's when you decide to show up and just hang out. That's what it'd be to be a Patriots fan right now.
Yeah, that sounds
Because
terrible.
the party's over and also everyone will hate you. That's why even though they have 6 rings, they're not going to be high ranked. I think they should be a C. Austin?
So I'll tell you where I agree with you here. It's true that you are going to be regarded as a bandwagon fan because it is the brightest beacon of being a bandwagon fan. But it's actually a good time to be one because, like, if you didn't follow Tom Brady to the Bucks, you're a true Patriots fan. So I think right now being a Patriots fan is where it's going to garner you the most respect now. The future is not that optimistic, but it's not dead. Like, there's still a chance for them to come back. They went 7-9 last year, and which is really bad for the Patriots standard and makes it seem like all the sky is falling. But if you consider how bad Cam Newton played and just the quarterback play and how bad the roster was, the fact that Bill Belichick was able to go 7-9 with that roster, with a lot of people opting out and having no offensive weapons to speak of whatsoever, and a running back being your leading receiver, like, I don't think the future of the Patriots is actually that bleak for them to be in D tier.
Where would you put them, Austin?
I would say C tier as well, and it's really weird putting him there, because like just looking at the date though, it's February 2021. So right now they deserve C tier, but like a lot of these teams, if you just go back 1 year, this would look completely different. But as of right now, like, you've got to take into account the history. Like, yeah, like you said, six trophies automatically disqualifies you, and for how well run you've been, and whether you believe it's all Tom Brady or not, there's something to be said about that. And yeah, and the fact that you didn't follow Tom Brady to the Bucks and you're still a Patriots fan garners you now a respect you didn't have previously as a Patriots fan. And now a lot of people don't even care about the Patriots anymore. Like, a lot of people have kind of let go of their hate of the Patriots now that Tom Brady's gone and now that they seem to be on the decline. So you're not going to be as hated now as you were during their peak anyway either.
That's kind of true, but I've actually found that my hatred for Tom Brady has decreased more than my hatred for the Patriots has.
I'm in the same boat. There's
no reason to hate the Patriots anymore.
They still won 6, man. You still got to hate. It's like the same reason everyone hates the Cowboys, dude. Like, there's no reason to hate them now, but that's not going to stop it for the next forever.
Maybe that's coming from my calloused Cowboys heart. Because as good as the Patriots were, they were never at the level of hatred as the Cowboys. As much as and Cowboys haters will be the deniers of this too. They're like, no, we hate the Patriots way more because you guys are irrelevant. It's like bullshit, man. Patriots have never been as successful as they've been in the past 20 years. Have never been hated more than the Cowboys. And so maybe it's my callous heart saying this, but
I hear you. Okay. Well, we have a list, guys.
That is the tier rankings. Anyone that's wanting to become a fan of a new team, look at this and listen to this.
This is it.
It's flawless. It's perfect. Well, guys,
it's not bad.
This has been a long one. Thanks for sticking around. You guys are awesome. We hope to continue to bring awesome content like this throughout the off season, along with the news. Big things are coming. Free agency, the draft. Free agency and the draft coming up. A lot to talk about there before and after. Look forward to it. Like, comment, subscribe, support us, listen to us, and enjoy. Have a good week.
Later.